Well, we zoom now into our election headquarters on the AM show. And today we take you to the Anloga constituency, where the electorate is intensifying its call for a fair share of the national resources, or the nation's resources. Now, high on their list are demands for employment opportunities, agro-processing facilities, and an end to illegal mining, aka galamsey. As the youth press for these changes, the two leading candidates on the tickets of the NDC and the MPP face off over who has the best record to lead the people. Well, this morning, Carlos Caloni takes us on a journey to the Anloga constituency in the Fulton region in this latest edition of Constituency Lens. Stay.
In today's edition of your Constituency Lens, we are focusing on bread and butter issues of Constituent here in the Anloga constituency. For about 32 years, the NDC has dominated this constituency. Will that change this year? We don't know. But that's why we are here to speak to the constituent to understand the key issues that will inform their vote in this election. So what are the issues for you?
Okay, first of all, I'm Gabriel Yaojirako. I can see like NDC dominated for a quite long...
Since 1992?
Yeah, sure. But there are no developmental projects in our constituency. And first of all, we promised harbour for some years now, but up to now we are not seeing anything or any change. So those are the things that we are looking forward to. Yeah, and also at least we should have something like a tomato processing factory. Yeah, so that when our farmers harvest their tomato, yeah, they can get easy access to where to sell it and get something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we see that currently there's a high bumper harvest happening in the Anloga constituency now, and so it's part of the reason why you think you need a tomato processing factory. All right. So your name is what?
My name is Gosin Dogbe.
So what are your issues?
First of all, we know that we vote for development, and whenever we vote, we don't see the reflection of our vote. Sometimes they will come here and give us plenty promises, but when they go or we elected them into office, we don't see what our term has done for us. So this is all the time when the national cake is being thrown out there. It doesn't hit us. We don't even get it whether it has been thrown or not. So as Joy News, you are with us today. We wanted you to take our concerns, and when you also go, you do documentary, you do things that will be keeping our leaders up, so that when they promise us, they know that they have demanded the help from us. So when they go, they should make sure they come back and help us.
Okay, so give us the specifics. For instance, in the area of youth development, what are the key issues for you, one or two, that you would want us to carry to the policymakers who are watching us?
First of all, what we do over here is our livelihoods. We have tomato farm. If you don't go to farm, you go to fishing. But this another annual tomato season for our mothers, our fathers. When they go and harvest, they don't get markets. The market that they get sometimes is that, let me take it 1 city. Once we are not selling the thing 1 city. So these are our things that when we have industrialization here and farms, the fruits are produced like that. We know that we have assurance that what we have produced is going to bring
ready market.
Ready market. And not over here. We also have villages that we need road. There are poor road network out there. When you go to Shima, Kome Road, we are suffering over there. I'm the one talking to you right now. You know, most of the time I go to those areas. When I'm back, my waste. So I'm telling Johnny.
So the road network is also a challenge.
It's also a challenge to have. Sometimes when our mothers are pregnant or fathers, it's hard for us to transport them from their sitting places to clinic for their health. So we battle very strongly. So
okay, great. Hold on there. So let's look at football. I'm told that there are a lot of talent in this Anloga constituency, for instance. Do you have a challenge in that regard as well?
Yeah, sure. There's no AstroTurf to nature talent over here mostly, and when there's a football competition, something like that, we have to go to either Anseko, Ketasco, something like that. And most of the time, the principals they don't agree for the school park to be used for those things because of they think maybe it will open door for some kind of bad people
to come to the camp.
Yeah, to come.
So what therefore is your call?
I'm calling on the government to at least they should provide us with at least 2 or 3 astroturfs so that we can nurture talent here, because there are a lot of hidden talents over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it means that both the NPP and the NDC are not taking advantage of this talent because they are not investing in the infrastructure that will actually push this talent up, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Finally, before we go, what do you make of the NDC's dominance in this constituency for the past 32 years? I'll come to you with the same question. And whether you think the Anloga constituency now needs a change. What do you make of NDC's dominance?
I realize that, let's say at least 90%, or if I stand to be corrected, the most, or let's say the greater population vote for NDC, but we don't see any change.
That doesn't reflect in development.
Yeah, sure. So I think at least I think we need change, something like that. Yeah, because let's say a few years in or let's say some years in office, which the NPP is in office, but I think they've done something massively more than the NDC used to do.
In the Anloga constituency?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, that's his opinion. What's your opinion?
Thank you very much. We are still telling them that our 5% that we know that is the total annual revenue that government gives for development. We are telling them that the taxpayers' money, it is that money that they say they should bring back to come and construct road for us, come and make our health system attractive, affordable for us, and also provide job opportunity. We are aware of that. That is the use of the 5%. So today I'm telling them that we all know for the fact that Anglo is the voter bank of Ghana. This is where much votes come from. But
for the NDC.
And the NDC, yeah. Let me talk about NDC. Sorry, we vote for them here purposely because we know that JJ has come from Keta. So because of that, I cannot bypass JJ and go and vote for them. So that is the notion. And now what they are doing, it is telling the youth that we are no more in that era. Now I vote for you, you come back and produce. So this vote we are coming to do is very crucial because just to cut a long story short, they should know that we need development. Okay. We are not just voters.
So there are women and girls concerns also in the Anglo constituency, and so I have a few of them to share those concerns with us. So what are the things you are looking for before you vote in this year's election?
We have to end galamsey because we the children or we the youth, we will become the future leaders, and inadequate of water and most of the things, the fishes and the most of the living things in the waters will die. So they have to end galamsey before we vote this year because it will disturb us with the youth in the future.
Okay. Apart from the galamsey, do you have any other issues of concern for you in the Anglo constituency, to be specific?
Unemployment and education. Most of the boys and most of the youth are not going to school. And some of us, we graduate, but we are still in the house. We didn't go to school yet. So we want the government to look to take the education and the unemployment into consideration.
Now the youth are looking for work. They cannot get work to do. They cannot get job to do. So what the government are going to do for us now, you're supposed to create a job for the area over here. We are not having a job over here. Now, there's a tomatoes farm over here, but there's no tomatoes processing factory over here. You see, those are the things the government is supposed to do. Yeah.
Okay, so we see that this time they're having a bumper harvest. We've seen a lot of trucks entering the constituency. And so you are thinking that those who are seeking your mandate should consider things like tomato processing factory?
Really, so that they can create job for the children.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't have job. Yeah, so we need job and we need factories too. Yeah, so some of the things that we need here.
What would you say the youth in Anloga basically do? The fact that they don't have job, how is that affecting youth development?
The job that they do here is only farming and fishing. That is the only job that we have here. Yeah.
And how is that also going?
Sometimes it's 50-50.
I have been in town since January, but since yesterday I approached town, I could see all darkness on the streets. And we can't be in darkness Wise, we have MPs, we have ministers mentioning Anloga that they are coming from Anloga. So I'm saying by the close of, let's say, coming month, they should come and focus and do our street lights and all our needs to us.
Well, here in the Anloga constituency, farming is a major source of livelihood for thousands of constituents. And as you can see, tomato season is here. A lot of harvest is happening, but you can see this tomato, it's going bad already on the farm. And the farmers here have a lot of concerns, and they expect the political class to address as we head towards the 2024 election. Felix, we have a few weeks to the election. You as a farmer, what are the key issues you are looking out for in this election that will inform your vote as farmers in the Anloga constituency?
The first concern I have for the government is like we don't have a regular supply of farm inputs. Even when they are there, they are very expensive. An average farmer cannot buy a bag of fertilizer. So I'm appealing to the government, if there is any way they can subsidize the fertilizer for the farmers. I think that will help us. Secondly, this is the harvesting period. We have a lot of post-harvest loss. That means like when we harvest, the market women can never exhaust all the produce. So therefore, determine even the price that they wish. So we are experiencing mostly post-harvest loss in this locality. So we are appealing to the government to bring out warehouse, cold rooms or silos, so that if we have bumper, we can store some for future use. Yes. Lastly, if I'm not mistaken, there must be some regulation as to taking care of the post-harvest loss if the processing plant can come, so that if we have the bumper like this, some of them can be processed for future use. And I think this will even add a lot of value to our produce.
Which means you'll be able to create a lot more jobs also.
Yes, yes. The whole of this community, most farmers depend on this farming job, and that is all everybody does here.
But currently, as the situation stands now, it appears that this post-harvest losses and the fact that you don't have control over the pricing, are you making losses in terms of finance?
A lot. Sometimes when after you have done everything, you can never even plow back. So we are making a lot of losses.
Actually, we need to have a factory, because we have been doing this business for a very long time now, and whenever we produce, then the product will just remain just like that and it will go bad. So we need a factory, because when you talk about the Porter's 5 forces, the buyers have a upper hand. This is a perishable good. When they relax for 2 weeks and they leave these goods for you, you could see what will happen. So we need a factory, so that when the factory is available, then the buyers will also not have that upper hand over us. You see, so
as it stands now, it appears you are losing.
We are losing. We are losing because they say the price, because it's a perishable something. 2 weeks, you can't keep it. So we need a factory or a silo, a big something that can keep it, so that it will take some 2 months or whatever, then you can sustain the price, so that we can also gain something.
Most of the time, you see that whenever we farm, we normally face buyers normally come here and then fix their own price of the tomatoes goods that they want to buy. So most of the time you see that they will bring a bigger box of tomatoes, and then they will give their own price to it. So each and every year, we normally face that problem. So maybe based on Joy News, I might think maybe it's the best place so that I can also voice my.
So what do you want done about this challenge? The fact that you produce but somebody else comes to set the price.
So I wish maybe the government can come and intervene for us, so that each and every farmer can get some fertilizer from the sponsorship from the government, so that in terms of farming, they themselves will come in for, let's say, agriculture products or any factory that they will set up, so that we the farmers here, we can benefit from that Yeah, as you can see, we don't have any work doing apart from farming. If you didn't farm, maybe you fish. You go to the fishing. So that would be my concern for now.
We want the government, or either if they vote for MPP or NDC, we want them to do tomatoes factory for us here, so that if any time that you do the farming, we can harvest it and get money. So that is what we want. We want the government to, or any political party that will come to the power, to do for us.
Currently, what is the situation like? We've seen that you've done a lot of harvest, and if this factory is not done, what will happen to this your tomato?
We are not getting anything from the farm. But if they have the factory here, we get let's say whatever that we want to get, we will get it. But as for now, we are talking. If we farm, they come and buy it anyhow, or let's say cheap prices, and we are losing a lot of what we have to get from the farm. So this one, we are begging the government to help us so that we can get what we need to survive.
Which is the tomato
farming. We need the factory, whether it is MPP or NDC, any political party that we in the power. We want them to come and help us here, so that they will do the factory for us, so that we too will be surviving for our. We will be using, or let's say, we will be surviving for this
from the farming that you are doing. Yeah. Well, these have been the concerns of constituents here in the Anloga constituency. They've raised a number of issues, from deplorable state of roads, as well as the call for a tomato processing factory, among other things. I have the two leading aspirants in this constituency on the ticket of the NDC, also on the ticket of the NPP, here with me, where we're going to ask them these questions to respond to.
So we continue this conversation on our constituency lens, and of course we're staying in that constituency, the Anloga constituency. Joining me in the studio, of course, Sweetie Abochi, as we head there. But our guest this morning, Samuel Kofi Sebuava, he's assembly member for the Anloga Lashibi electoral area. He joins the conversation. We also have the MPP's Anloga parliamentary candidate, that is Seth Yomenu, and the NDC's candidate as well, Richard Kwame Sepe. All of them join us for this conversation. But let me check who is available now. Mr. Sebuava, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Sebuava. Samuel Kofi Sebuava. Okay, I don't think I can hear him. Let me check whether I have Seth. Seth, can you hear me? Okay, Samuel Kofi Sebuava, if you can hear me, please unmute and let me check your sound. Can you hear me, Seth? Mr. Sebuava?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so if you are using a television or some other set to follow, please don't do that. It will give us feedback. Just follow us on the gadget you are using. Sweetie Abochi, would you like to initiate the conversation?
Well, let me start with you, Samuel. Thank you for joining us. Concerns of the constituents regarding youth employment, it looks like it's very high. How serious is the challenge as we speak? Okay, we are trying to connect to Samuel. Samuel is the assemblyman for the Anloga Lashibi electoral area. And in that constituency lens content we brought to you, realize that most of the young people were asking for means to work, employment, development, among others. So we're trying to get, from his perspective, how serious really the situation is before we go to our parliamentary candidates. But if we have Richard with us, do we have Richard with us?
It appears we don't have Richard.
We don't have Richard, but we have Seth. Do we have Seth? All right. Okay. But this is my homeland. I was really happy watching my, should I call them brothers and sisters from Anloga? Although it's not a very happy thing, because they're talking about the challenges they have in that constituency and the needs, and how these two independent NDC and NPP parliamentary candidates can actually meet them at the point of their needs. Hopefully we can connect with them in a bit, and then we can get the conversation started.
But it's clear that the people from the community thrive on two major economic activities, one being farming, the other being fishing. And even when you look at farming, from what we saw, it appears tomato farming is predominant in that area. Sometimes I think through these issues and I wonder, look, you're doing 1D, 1F, and we're trying to industrialize and ensure that people get something to do and all that. If these people predominantly produce tomatoes strategically, what are the market centers? Can we ensure that maybe we are enhancing their production of tomatoes through certain agricultural practices to boost production, and also to ensure that as they produce, we can have a factory or some site? I always go back to the Nkrumah era. Silos were made. Where are they now? And so we have a lot of, especially with perishable commodities like tomatoes, they perish very quickly. So you can have the people, plant, harvest, but if they are not bought in time, people lose out and all of that. So I don't know. It's not that we lack the thinking, but somehow we still are not able to harness this so that we can attain food self-sufficiency. And then there's also fishing.
Yeah.
And I heard one of them talk about galamsey and its effects and everything, and the fisher folk and what they need. It appears, well, they've been left in limbo for a while, and they are still struggling to keep up and keep body and soul together.
What's interesting, Ben, is that this isn't a problem that's just come up now. What have the past members of parliament been doing? What has the past governments been doing for this town? And in fact, yesterday, just to put in perspective, I was having a conversation with the CEO of Ghana Commodity Exchange, and they talk about having warehouses where farmers can bring their produce. And the system works like the stock exchange market, where when someone purchases your goods, instantly you can see that someone has bought it, and then your money will be made available to you and all that. Do they have access to these institutions and these systems that were actually brought up to fix these issues that we are still experiencing in terms of post-harvest losses and all that? We cannot say that for years, or should I say for 32 years now, where we've been going between NDC and PP, they do not understand that the people of Anloga and so many other farming communities produce perishable goods and put systems in place that can, enable them to make or get some value from their produce and not to just go to waste. So it's really a question of what have we been doing all this while, and how can we stop pussyfooting around the issues but tackle it head on, so that every year we don't have to come back here and talk about post-harvest losses, infrastructural gaps, talk about access to road networks that can, give them the opportunity to transport their goods, even to other countries. We have the African Continental Free Trade Area and all those, should I say, systems in place. Like you said, Ben, it's not about thinking up the ideas, the great ideas and the policies. It's about the implementation of these ideas and policies and how really we're able to do it so that the disconnect can be reduced.
And I think it's even not about talking about the same issues, even if it's ad nauseum. It's about, I shouldn't be talking about, let's say, this particular issue in this particular community for 10 years. Do you get it?
Yeah.
As for the issue, it may be there in other places. But are we resolving them so that over time, it's like free SHS, it's like education in general. It's like schools under trees. Okay? We had over 2,000 a few years ago. Yeah. Before election 2016, we heard what the vice president said about, schools under trees and how they would be eradicated. Today, what is the status of? So it is not about, we should stop talking about, but the point that if we can still continue talking about them, but have we moved, let's say, from 3,000 schools under trees to about 300 within a period, then you know that, wow, there's a gap and we're making inroads. So even as we talk about them in a certain context. But if you look at people like these in Anloga, and you can tell from how some of them were talking that this is a persistent problem. You get it. You'd have fisher folk in different parts, especially in the fishing communities here in Accra, in the central region and others, who will tell you that premixed fuel has been a problem. How this premixed problem, everywhere. This motorboard, the outboard motors and all of that. I mean, we want to play politics with everything. We can't simply say this is a system. If you feel that, I am MPP, when the NDC came to power, they did politics with it. I'm NDC, when the MPP came, they did politics with it. Why don't you implement a system in such a way that you can't play politics with it and the people who actually need them, get them? But when it comes to premix fuel, for example, then you see that, oh, it is ending up with some person who is a hairdresser, who has nothing to do with the situation, who is benefiting because that person belongs to a certain political party. I mean, the issues are there. We know how to solve them, but I don't know. And I feel really bad. I keep saying that sometimes I engage certain groups, and you have some of these Westerners come into town, and I feel ashamed. You know why? Because they point to some things that I have thought of that I know we should be doing, and they ask as though it sounds, are these people not thinking? That's how it sounds when you engage some of these people who come from other countries, engaging you on what is happening in your country. Like I mentioned during the news review, trains. We should have proper train networks in Ghana by now. The big talk about sky trains and everything. Let's start from the ground. Start from the ground before you.
Seen it? Oh, Benjamin, they've put up some buildings, I don't know what to call it. I can touch it if I stand on this table, but they've put up something.
Stop patronizing me. Don't patronize.
They're in the process of constructing
the
sky trains in this country.
You know what? We have all these highfalutin ideas and everything. Really, what we need in Ghana are the very basics. Very basic stuff. Yeah. Start with the basics, strengthen the basics, and then it's like building a house or a skyscraper. You start with the most important portion is the foundation. How deep, how strong. Once you do that, then you can build on it. But if you've not laid that foundation, you can't do anything.
And that's why many stalwarts, not just political, but in various sectors, will tell you that really, when it comes down to it, at the core of our problems and issues in this country, it's a leadership problem. Because if you have leaders who have the interests of the nation at heart or are concerned about development, some of these issues, the fundamental issues that we are facing, we will not have, but this is where we are. And, but Benjamin, I don't know, it will not shock you. I was also at, was it Jamestown a few days ago, another fishing community, and the issues that the people of Anloga are raising is not very different from the issues that the Jamestown residents are also raising. But let's circle back to Samuel Kofi Sebuava, who is the assembly member for Anloga. Samuel, if you can hear me, I was asking you to paint the picture of how serious the unemployment issue is in the Anloga constituency.
Thank you. I can hear you. That is the major challenge we have in Anloga constituency or Anloga district. The youth, after completing school, a few of them go into farming. It used to be reserved for the elderly those days. But these days, the major challenge is that with a growth of population, the land available for farming is becoming smaller. So those who wish to even go into farming don't have land that they can farm on. So apart from that, the other major source of livelihood is fishing. And either in the lagoon or on sea. And both sides are not the best, especially the sea. When they go fishing, they come out with nothing. And it's making things very, very hard for the youth, mainly in the constituency.
What are the leaders doing about this so far as we speak? What have they done so far? And what are they doing? Is there anything in progress as we speak?
Well, there are government policies like those entrepreneurial programs, but those who attempt to get involved, at the end, they get disappointed. It's only a few that are given startups. Yesterday, we were briefed at the assembly meeting that a number of them will be given startups. So we are waiting for that to happen. But even that will not solve the problem that we have at hand.
Right. And right before I let you go, are there other issues, challenges that exist in the constituency that we haven't yet caught wind of?
Well, apart from bad road network in certain parts of the constituency, for instance, Kuma, we have a very bad road, and then Shima. And then when you go to the Jita Nyangwi area, the road network there too is not the best.
Okay.
And because of that, lorry fares are very high here.
Yeah.
From Anloga to Kome, for instance, you pay no less than 15 cedis for a distance that could normally be traveled within 10 minutes.
Okay.
So it's also a big challenge.
All right. Thank you so much. Samuel Kofi Sebuava is the Assembly Member for Anloga Lashibi electoral area. But we'll get back into the studio and Benjamin will take over.
Well, let's also bring into the conversation the parliamentary candidate who is actually the Member of Parliament for Anglo. I'm talking about Richard Kwame Sepe. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
All right. Thank you for joining the conversation. I just want to start off by asking you, as Member of Parliament, what is the state of Anglo today? When was the last time you were there?
Thank you very much. Let me use the opportunity to wish my people a very good celebration of Ogbechocho, which is coming on tomorrow. So I'd like to use the platform.
Pardon my doing this. I'm really sorry. Let me also introduce the NPP's parliamentary candidate for that constituency, Seth Yomenu. Seth, good morning. Can you hear me, Seth?
I think
you would have to unmute so that I can hear you, Mr. Yomenu. All right, I'll get back to you. I just wanted to usher you into the conversation as well as we proceed. I'll get back to you shortly. Please, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to use the opportunity to greet the Dao Mafia and other chiefs and the good people of Anglo for the program that we are running now. That is the Ogbechocho that will come off formally tomorrow. State of affairs of Anglo.
And let me just say that we're a bit pressed for time. We have just about 20 minutes to work with, so problem. I want the two of you to have ample time, straight to the point.
Very well. I could say that for now, things are better than before.
Okay.
I can tell you that about 4 years ago, I was elected as the Member of Parliament for Anglo. Though those times people were doubting whether I could be able to change anything because they realized I am the first coming amongst them. And I can tell you on authority that, like the issue you mentioned about unemployment issue, equally because we are also part of the country, Ghana, and that of the whole world, we are also suffering the same unemployment rate situation. Currently, when you look at the standard survey, which was done about 4 years ago, we are having about 13% of our youths being unemployed. Having that in mind, I was able to enroll about 1,026 of them into different skills models. And as
which skills models?
About 11 skills. We are talking of dressmaking, hairdressing, masonry, tiling, blacksmithing, carpentry, and a whole lot. But there are 11 models. I have the pictures that I can even show you. If I had come earlier, you will have projected some.
Are you pushing some of them into farming and fishing? Because some of them are already in those, and they are facing problems.
For now, virtually, if you are born within the enclave of Anglo, you have no option than to either do the farming as part of the usual life. or you do the fishing, depending on the zone that you are coming from.
So farming or fishing, in addition to other things you do.
Very well.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
I'll be handing over shortly to Sweetie, who is actually from that area, and she'll be questioning you further into it. But you say that things have improved. I don't know what the state of infrastructure is. Some of them were talking about roads, hospitals, and all of that. And there was an interesting point that was made. One of them, in this constituency lens, made mention of the fact that MPP comes, NDC comes, all these administrations come, and they have members of parliament, but they are not seeing much change in their lives, especially among the young people. You are telling me about these nice things.
Yes, if I can,
I don't know whether the people are feeling them.
No, if I'm telling you that I've enrolled 1,026, as I'm talking to you this morning, they are undergoing pre-graduation ceremony. That the actual graduation will be done on Sunday and Tuesday in Anloga there, and this will be the 11th cohort that we are graduating. In all, there are about 17 cohorts involving the 1,026. Remember,
just a quick question before Sweetie comes in. How many youth in all? Do you know the youth population of Anglo?
For now, no, I cannot. I can only give you the percentage. I cannot give you.
What percentage of the population?
The population of the youths in Anglo, they are over 40%.
Over 40%.
Yes. And the whole of Anglo, we are having about our population is about 108,000 thereabouts.
That's the population of Anglo?
Yes.
Okay, so if the population of Anglo is one what?
The population of Anglo is about 110,000.
Okay, so if you do the math, that times 110.
So we have over 40,000.
It means you have about 44,000 youths.
Yes. And remember, because we have schools there's senior high schools and vocational schools, whenever the population is being captured, they are also captured. And they are already over 13,000.
I see. Okay.
Yes. And if you could permit me, let me also inform the viewers that Anloga, in the whole of Volta region, is the only area that you can have sand, pure sand, that I can say ocean of sand. So access from the farm to the major road becomes a problem. I've seen this, and as I'm talking to you, I've been able to construct about 8 kilometers of those roads just to help them within these 4 years. And I can also assure you that as I'm going home now, I'm going to do another one, which I've started. I'm going to finish it up for them to have the peace.
So you are doing some work, but particularly I just want to focus on the issue of post-harvest losses. Most of your residents or constituents are fisher folk and farmers, right? Yes. And they talk about how day in, day out, their produce go, perish because there aren't enough factories, there aren't enough systems in place to help them put it to good use so they can get value for their money. What are you doing about that?
That is why I'm praying that my government should come to power and will resolve that issue. My sister.
Is it as simple as the NDC coming to power in terms of because if you listen to the people, they would say it's as though different administrations come, but they are not really feeling the impact.
Different administration with different personalities leading them. But as I'm talking to you, no MP since time immemorial was able to even construct a kilometer or half a kilometer of a feeder road.
Okay.
And no MP was able to put any of these people into this youth unemployment or creating this kind of modules for them.
Right.
So if I'm doing this and I'm telling you that if my government comes to power, we're going to go over this. Remember, tomato farming is a seasonal sort of thing. And if we are doing school feeding, where on earth can we be saying that we have gluts for tomatoes? Meanwhile, we could use the same thing, we process them. We should be able to give the produce to the schools to use.
All right, please hold for us. Let's bring in Seth Yomenu into the conversation as well. Seth, thank you for joining us. So you are seeking to unseat Mr. Sefe as the Member of Parliament for Anloga, and you have been the DCE for some time now, yet your constituents are talking about unemployment, access to basic things like road and agro-processing industries. What's the challenge there? You are also somebody in power authority to do something about it. What's the challenge there, and what do you intend to do differently from what the sitting MP is doing?
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I want to stand in the shoes of my MP to greet our king, our mafia detect, the overlord of Anglo, and the chiefs, and wish them a good festival, which we are going to have tomorrow. Concerning Anloga, as I am a district chief executive, with all the things people are saying, I think some of them, they are right. Because we all know that unemployment situation now in the country is very high. So the same thing applies to Anloga. And we are also doing our best as a government. So we are also operating some models under Youth Employment Program to employ some of the youth, like the community policing, at the end, training them also in skills. So as I'm talking now, we have trained youth more than 300 at various stages, maybe from vocation to vocations. And we are going to organize a program for them to give them the start-up kits so that they can start the work they are doing. So in general, when we talk about employment situation in Anloga, there is no different from what is happening in the country. But we are also doing our best as government to see how best we can resolve it so that our youth can get meaningful jobs and be doing in our place. As you know, this area, our main occupation is fishing and agriculture. So a lot of our youth also engage in farming activities. Last year, they have a lot of challenges because of the flood. So their farming was not good as the way it should be. So by this year, with the support of the government, by providing about 16,000 bags of fertilizer to them free, I think this time you can see that the farmers are now happy because most of our youth, they are engaging in farming activities.
Mr. Yamano, I'm sorry to rush you, but we are pressed for time, so let's go straight to the point. You've already situated what you've been doing and what this government has been doing. What do you intend to do differently? And also because the specific issues that have been raised have been existing for a while now. So what is your strategy to bring the solution to the people?
Yeah, my sister, what I want to do, and I'm appealing to my people to give me the nod. You know that this area is the stronghold of NDC since 1992. They didn't vote for any MPP parliamentary candidate to represent.
So you also think it's as simple as one party being in power, because the sitting MP just said that, as part of a solution to the problems, he hopes that NDC comes to power. You also think that it's that simple about one party being in power?
That's what I'm saying, is that usually when we vote for maybe a change, at that time you can do the comparison. So that's why I'm saying from 1992, people who represent us in parliament, all of them are coming from NDC. So because of that, at times, they take our people for the right. They feel that, oh, they are strongholds, so at the end they will vote for. So what I want to do differently is that I want to look at the agricultural sector of our people and then the fishing center. What I want to do is that when my people voted for me, is that I want to introduce solar panel system for irrigation to continue, because they pay a lot of money on electricity when they are farm. So I want to bring in solar panel, and then the fishing industry too. I want to enhance it by providing the fishing materials such as outbound motors to our farmers so that they can do the fishing. And at the end also, I also want to do the trade and vocation aspect. That is the thing that can take most of our youth from the streets. As we are talking now, this government, we have TVET school in our area here. So I want to invest in the TVET school so that we can train most of our youth to acquire skills. Because if they acquire skills, they can be doing something meaningful for themselves. When it comes to education also, I want to also look at the education. We know that free SHS is there for us, but getting to tertiary institution it's becoming very difficult for our youth at times paying the school fees. I also want to look at it, create a scholarship scheme for our youth so that most of them can go to schools in those days.
We will circle back to you in a bit, but Mr. Seveso, really, you've been in power. You just said that you're hoping that the NDC will come to power so that some of the issues can be solved. But why should the people trust you and give you, why should we trust you and give you that bit again to represent us in Parliament if you think that the solution to the problems of Anloga is intricately interwoven with NDC coming into power? Why should they trust you as an individual who wants to represent them in government?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see that at least I mentioned two major issues that I'm trying to resolve or I've been resolving. Based on that, they have that trust in me already. But what I intend doing more is that those roads that I talked about, some are not up to where they are supposed to be. So I have to make sure it gets to the beaches, it gets to the farm gates, so that the people will have the full benefit of those roads that I'm constructing. If you come to education, though I'm an MP, but I've been able to lobby some NGOs and my good self, I put up about three unique classroom blocks, office and store. So I supported about 463 students who are in nursing training, universities, and all over, which never happened before. Let me put it on record that my chief executive, who is also coming up now to contest, he has been the DC or the MC for 8 good years. If he's now mentioning those things, then you see that he's not up to the task. Look, if you look at the Assembly Common Fund, the MPs are supposed to take about 5%, and the assemblies are to take 95%. If I've been able to do almost all this, let me also bring to the fore that most of the cheap compounds that we have around, we're not having labs. So, for instance, if you're in Anyangu area, you fall sick, they'll have to refer you to Atoko for your blood samples to be taken. But I've been able to equip about 6 of them, cheap compound.
These are the reasons why the people should
and they know that,
maintain you.
Yes, they know that if I'm re-elected, more and better things are what is in stock for them
so if you are re-elected, but the NDC is not in power, and then what happens?
The problem is, I've been able to achieve this single-handedly, but I'm saying that I could do more. For instance, if you go to the Shima area, the Agotwe to the Bakpo Road, the NDC government awarded this contract, and this current government claimed that they wanted to do forensic auditing. Since then to date, the road which has been well shaped, only for it to be quoted, has stalled, and now it has degenerated.
All right.
So if my government were to be in power, do you think that road will have been left like that? And my people, they know for sure that if they want comfort, they want development, and whatever, it is only my government or my party that can bring that thing to the fore.
All right, please hold for Ben. I'm sure we'll get back to Mr. Menu for his final bid as well.
I don't know what to make of, because it's a desperate situation for me. Both gentlemen on the MPP and NDC side are acting as though without their governments being in power in terms of the presidency, their hands would be tied a lot. I do understand that members of parliament are technically not agents of development. It is something we have created, a monster, I think, we have created with our system, but a monster that they have fed into, a monster they MPs are feeding and would be MPs, because they seem to suggest that they would do things that technically do not lie within their jurisdiction. Yeah. They are lawmakers, but now they have to construct roads and everything. But I feel more can be done. He makes mention of, the DCE for the area and how much more can be done. I think the basics ought to be addressed, and some of those challenges would be dealt with. You don't necessarily need to be in government. If we get the structures right, you don't need to be in government. But I don't know how you feel about that. I don't have any further questions on that.
Actually, like you mentioned, If we were to have time, I can enumerate over 47 different projects that I've been able to do, though my government is not in power. I've been able to lobby some people like Toby Afede, who helped me to string electricity from Atitati to Fuvama.
Well, that points to the fact that it is doable.
Yes, which I've been doing.
It is possible to do something
without
the government being...
Yes, but what I'm saying is
So all I'm saying is, I don't disagree with you.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, you see, action starts from the mind.
Yes.
Let's move away from that mindset of, unless my government is in power, I can't do much.
For sure.
It's a problem with both sides, and I'm hearing it from both of you, and that's my worry.
Yes.
But we do have to get back to Mr. Yomanu before we go, because we are pressed for time. I'll come back to you for the final bit.
Thank you.
But Mr. Yomanu, so, I mean, Mr. Sefa is saying that from your rhetoric, he's inferring that you're not up to the task. In about 30 seconds to 1 minute, what's your argument for why the people should vote for you instead to lead them or represent them?
My sister, thank you very much for the opportunity again. I always disagree with my MP concerning when he's talking about development. I was the district chief executive 8 years now. So he cannot say that at the end we didn't do anything. I have a leaflet here. I have done about 60 projects in Anloga. The Anloga district we are talking about here too was created by this government. He says in 2019, he knows that when they talk about development, what we have done as government in Anloga, he knows that they cannot match it. So concerning that, I am here, I am not supporting, or you don't know whether I can do something better. I want my people to appeal to my people that they should try it differently and see. Because as they feel that this is their strongholds, the way they should lobby for our people, they don't do it. So I just want to appeal to the people that this is the time for them to make the change so that they will say different administration, and at the end, we fight for our people, because he knows that I am somebody who works. So today, as we are on a radio station, TV station, he will not praise me. Concerning the money he's talking about, people giving them skills to.
All right.
It is the MP Common Fund, which I have approved for him to engage our people and give them skills.
Seth Yomanu, thank you so much. He's the NPP parliamentary candidate for Anloga Constituency. You have the final word in about 20 seconds.
Okay, he's giving 30, no problem. Let me just say that in terms of working environment, we are doing our bits. Okay. We just want to improve the life of our people. He is also looking at it in a different angle. I'm also looking at it in a different angle. But most MPP communicators, you listen to them as if they're in opposition, wanting their government not to come to power. They don't say, oh, if you can lobby, why did you lobby now? Because you've been the DC or the MC for 8 good years. And you are now saying if you are elected, you now lobby and so many things. Please, for now, what our people need is what you mentioned. You mentioned the tomato glut. What happened to our one district, one factory? Were we given? Can't we leverage on our tomato season or farming to feed other schools? Why should people go to Ho to go and take tomato paste and come to the coast and to use? So my issue is very simple. I've been doing good. I've started with them. You go there, the people feel it. Even your CD or your cameras showed the graduation that I started with my people, and the roles that I've been doing, the chief compound that I've been supporting, the students that I've been helping, supporting all over, and all different facets of life that are affected.
Unfortunately, we do have to go. So thank you so much. This is the Member of Parliament for Anloga and parliamentary candidate for Anloga Constituency, Mr. Richard Sepp. Is it Sefa or Sefa?
Sefa.
Sefa,
Yes.
Okay. And then we also had the NPP parliamentary candidate, that is Seth Yomanu. And we also were joined by the assembly member for the area, that is Samuel Kofi Sebuava. Thank you all so much for joining us. But